celebrating and showcasing some of the most amazing people around the world who are doing incredible things to make our world a better place. This is CUTV News. I'm Jim Masters. Today on CUTV News, we celebrate Andre Paradis. Andre is a relationship coach, NLP coach, educator of effective communication strategies, #1 best-selling author, workshop leader, and public speaker. He's an expert on dating, sex, and relationship dynamics, and the founder of Project Equinox, where he works with singles and couples to create and maintain successful relationships. Andre has been studying people his entire life. Over a decade ago, he was compelled to teach his findings and knowledge to the masses, for they kept asking him why things seemed to be so hard or confusing when dealing with relationships, people, and life. His understanding of relationship dynamics is vast, and his knowledge expands all across all types of subjects, such as love, life relationships with men and women, regardless of gender and/or orientation, child rearing, married or single, workplace dynamic negotiations, negotiating wants and needs, effective communication tools, and more. He's worked with some of the world's most respected authorities on these subjects and has been mentored by many, such as Dr. Pat Allen, Dr. John Gray, Alison Armstrong, and several others. Andre believes oftentimes relationships can seem to be a power struggle, and that's exactly the point. The magic is to be fully aware of the energy mechanism in place in these dynamics and to learn to negotiate the terms and details to reduce power friction. This truly is the basis of Andre's work. Now, married for over 2 decades and a proud parent of 2 teens, Andre's expertise spans not only over his knowledge and studies, research, and expertise as a coach, teacher, educator, mentor, and public speaker, but also over his actual life experience in dating, love, parenting, and business. Andre Paradis joins me in the CUTV News studio in New York for an exclusive interview. Andre, thanks so much for joining us on CUTV.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to have you here. You're such a busy guy, so we appreciate your flying east to join us in the studio today.
You're welcome.
You know, fascinated by this work. You're the relationship and sex and dating expert. You've got all this expertise and real life's experience, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You're a parent as well. You've seen the world, traveled the world. Let's talk about what first inspired you early on in your own life's journey to do the work you're doing today.
Okay, good story. Long story. I'll try to make it short. But in a nutshell, I come from a family, French Catholic family on the East Coast, #4 kid, and there was always a funny, as a child, it was something that I couldn't kind of gel in my family. Like something wasn't working. So I was 5 years old when I kind of put my thoughts and my feelings together, and the revelation was this was so clear to me that I was actually born in the wrong family. Something had gone wrong. Like, these people were not my people. I did not fit in here. Like, no one, like, it was very strange as a 5-year-old to sort of come to terms with something's wrong, like, very wrong. And so from there, what happened is my awareness as a little kid trying to understand how this could be possible. How can you not fit in your family? Right? Like, these are actually my parents, these are my brothers and sisters, but I don't belong here. Like, this is, right? So I kind of like turned my focus outward from the five on into watching people around me, trying to understand my circumstances. How is this possible? How is this possible? Right?
Now,
so
were you the firstborn?
I was the fourth.
The fourth-born. So does order placement have anything to do with it as well? In terms of the way they responded to you?
I don't know. That's the part that was confusing for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, how can this be? I'm one of them, but I'm not. Right? So my entire life became this trying to look outward to understand through my family first how this could be possible, but I became an observer of people for my own sake, for my own circumstances, but then I took it in the world, I took it in the classroom, I had similar experiences in school, and then how come this teacher thinks I'm fantastic and this one acts like I don't belong? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that became my whole, so I've been watching people since then, studying.
Since like age 5.
Since age 5. And
Really?
in that, it's interesting, it's like anything else, when you keep owning on something, right, you sort of start feeling and sensing energy in people. And then what's really behind whatever. Like, so my favorite thing to do still to this day, I'll sit at the mall and watch people walk by me, and I could feel them. I kind of have a sense of who they are, and really almost like what they're going through in the moment. Like, some people are just disconnected, some people are like overwhelmed, some people don't care, some people are like mad even. Like, I could feel them, you know? So that's like
That
spending my
energy,
whole life
right.
watching. So when it came down to this kind of work, as a coach, is a fantastic ability, because I could sit with somebody and actually sort of vibe what's happening within them. They don't even have to tell me, you know, and then that opens a conversation very easily.
Through your own life experiences growing up in Canada, and then you came to the States.
Yes.
And you actually went into the entertainment world for a while as a professional dancer and toured the world with Michael Jackson and Paula Abdul, Julio
Prince.
Iglesias, Prince. So obviously you had a personality that was engaging, and you were very focused and structured to be able to really put all that time into dancing and perfect that as well, right?
Yeah, and that was interesting, because I say this, you know, my story. Part of my story is that how dancing saved my life, because that little boy that was disconnected and confused and hurt kind of kept growing up that way until I became a teenager and started dancing by accident. I find myself in a ballroom class in high school, and that the energy of music and movement, like when your body vibrates with music, you know, and you take a girl and you go sha on the beat, sha sha. There's sort of like, oh, like there's a, and that sort of made me smile and made me happy. So the using the body through music to dance, and something that's interesting, because the first class I took, I realized, it was very strange actually, that I could copy anything I saw. So the guy who's disconnected, not available, blending everywhere, who was good at nothing, all of a sudden this I could do really, really well from the get-go. Oh, so that became my hook. So I started dancing to feel better, to get the sadness off of me, the dopamine of physicality and the music, all that stuff. So that became my life. And so as I did this 100 miles an hour, just because I wanted to feel better, it actually saved my life, because it changed my chemistry of my brain of being a sad, disconnected person into a person who's lifted up and feeling good, and literally sort of came out of the hole of my depression.
Where do you think that
dancing.
drive and that passion to do that yourself single-handedly came from or comes from?
I think it's literally like just
Survival?
Survival, and there was something inside of me that always, there's a little something, and I remember when I was 5, that as much as I didn't want to do life, because it was so terrible, there was a little voice inside of me that said, you have something huge to do. So just get it done, you know? So when I started dancing, and I was really good at this and made a career out of it with, you know, going around the world, I thought that little voice was like, you're gonna be famous. Like, I thought that was something big that was gonna happen. And I didn't, you know? So as life continued, I started, you know, after dancing, I opened my own business, and I was always a teacher still, right? And then that little voice kind of went back a little bit, because I'm like, I'm not going to be famous, so I'm not sure why I have something so big, but by then I was healthy, mentally healthy, and, you know, found my wife, started a family, and then 10 years ago, 2006, I came across this material, and ding, there it is. This is what you meant to do. So my entire life brought me to the place where my challenge is fighting for my life, being so curious and curious about the human condition and people, and wanted to help, because now it's healthy. I've fallen into this material with relationship, men, women, what's happening in our world, and the beast was awakened.
So at that point in those early years, how do you feel you were when it comes to relationships? You were learning and growing?
Well, interesting. I had, and I actually thought that was because of my dancing career and the fact that it was artistic temperament, that I always had an ease with women. Like, I didn't scream and shout and did the gold trauma that my friends did. I attracted always very sweet, loving women, always. My wife, when you meet my wife, you won't, like, she's amazing. She's a light, she's a joy, she's feminine, she's inspiring. Just who she's always, you know, that's who she is. That's always what I attracted. So I actually thought that I knew something, that I had some kind of mojo, right? That I understood women somehow, because it always worked. I was also a workshop head. I was always in some kind of workshop, business workshop, personal development workshop, how do you get your life together workshop, how do you make more money, workshops, right? In my life, 23 years of workshops. 2006, I'm in San Jose, California on a business workshop. I was trying to blow my business up further than I had done so far. And I meet this couple who lives in Los Angeles, and she's like, working for this company who does workshops, and she's like, do you want to come to a workshop next weekend? I'm like, sure, because I'm that guy. And then I went, wait, so what's the workshop? It's called Understanding Women.
Understanding Women.
I'm like, Understanding Women, that's cute, right?
Yeah.
Again, my relationship with women being easy, I thought, what are you going to teach me?
This is going to be
really,
a no-brainer.
This is going to be kind of silly.
Right? You won't even have to take notes.
Right.
No homework.
Right? So, and not really arrogant about it, just really thought, it's going to be cute.
It's just gonna be.
So I get to Los Angeles back, and we get into the workshop, and it wasn't cute at all. And it was my God, that's what changed everything for me.
Intense.
It was the things I realized I know nothing about women, absolutely nothing. And by then we're married, like the kids are babies. We've been married. Everything's fine. I'm not looking for help with my relationship. I'm there by accident. But when I learn, it scared the life out of me. As a man, when I realized, as a man, just me being a man, I constantly hurt my wife's feelings with zero intention. She misunderstands my actions, my lack of actions, my words, my lack of words. How dangerous is that? You know what I mean? So, all my siblings are married and divorced a few times. My wife is my angel, right? Like the thought of me maybe losing her or not knowing something was ridiculous. So I went into the company's entire curriculum. I learned everything they had to offer. Became a workshop leader in progress with them. And that didn't really work out, but that was the fire in the beginning of my adventure with this whole stuff, it's to dismantle, that whole dynamic between men and women, and that what's in our culture right now. I have a podcast called How the Culture Gets It Wrong.
Right.
From my discoveries the past, 16 years, 2006 to now, it's like 12 years.
Yeah.
About all the stuff that I discovered that's happening in the culture, right? This equality thing that's happening is fine for business and money and opportunities, right? Equality as human rights, of course, fantastic, right? But in relationships, absolutely the kiss of death.
Yeah, it's the kiss of death. Yeah.
But nobody gets that. Nobody knows that. So that's why as we evolve in this culture where we empower women and sort of soften the man, thinking things are going to be more equal and it's more fair, and things will work out better because, the problem's always been inequality. Absolutely not working. So if you realize that everybody thinks this is the best time in the history of mankind to be alive because we finally did this, and now we realize this is worse than ever. How is it worse than ever? How can it be worse than ever? It is, in the realm of relationships.
So some of these things, in terms of the continuation of your trail of the education and developing the skills and the knowledge, comes from life experiences, these amazing life experiences you've had, but also from these workshops and the education and everything that you did to set things up to become the expert that you are. So take us from there, some of the additional skill sets and some of the things you learned on the journey that then led to the creation of Project Equinox.
Yes. So originally, my goal was simply to make sure that I wasn't going to screw up my life with my wife. That was it. That's what I was looking for, right? And as this got going, and I kept taking workshops and researching and studying, I ended up working with 5 masters in the world of relationships. Alison Armstrong does a lot of anthropological work, like the caveman, cavewoman inside of us, our instinct that run the show that we think we've overgrown. It's all in here, right? Like we're continuously led by our instincts. We think we're better than that. We're really not. So there's a fantastic research, like our instinctual drives are running the show all the time. And we think, it's not. Dr. John Gray, the past 10 years, done a lot of stuff, Mars and Venus, a lot of stuff with chemistry. The chemistry of our bodies dictates how we operate, how we behave, completely different men from women. Again, in the face of the culture right now, it flies in the face of the culture. So that's fantastic dismantling of what's happening and be able to describe, how this mechanism work. Love and respect. Shanti Felhan in the South. Love and respect. And like men want respect before love. Women want love before respect. So we both want both. They actually show up backwards. The flip side is when you respect a man the way a man needs to be respected, he actually feels loved and cherished by you. A woman needs to be loved and cherished first. You love and cherish a woman, she feels respected. When she feels respected and she respects him, he loves and cherishes her.
Right.
When he loves and cherishes her, she will say, and this is the upward funnel, we'll call it. That mechanism is so simple, but again, in our culture, 50-50, right? Equality, man on man, there's disrespect in that.
Mm-hmm.
So men cannot hitch their wagon to women who don't respect them.
Sure.
And then to a woman, it looks like men are disconnected, men are shallow, men don't care. There's something, a man needs what he needs from a woman for him to step up. Mm. So in our culture right now, we teach women to not do what men need or want for them to take care of them. That's a problem. But it's not obvious.
It's not obvious.
It's not obvious, so I have to dismantle these things for people, right? People come.
Is that what Project Equinox is all about?
That's
When you created it, what was your vision and mission for it? Because obviously you saw a need and maybe a void that needed to be filled when you created Project Equinox. Yes. So what was it that was missing that you've been bringing to the table with Project Equinox?
My job is to alleviate the pain between men and women. Women are in pain. And men are confused. Men are just completely confused. They don't know what they're supposed to do or say, and how they're supposed to step up. It's not supposed to be aggressive. So then they go passive. Nobody cares. Nothing gets done. Right? Like the men are don't know what to do. Right? So what do they do? They step back and do nothing.
They retreat. Yeah.
Right? And women go, men aren't stepping up. Well, thank you, society. You know what I mean? Like this is what's happened. And women are in pain. Women, bought into this new concept of strong, independent, and powerful. First, be all that and be a career woman, do marriage later, and for most of them that doesn't happen. Again, over-calibrated masculine men don't want masculine women. Very simple, but somehow nobody teaches that, right? So women get stuck in their masculine for 20, 25 years to do business, career, money, fantastic. And then they think they're gonna find a husband and have babies. It doesn't work. Mm. They've been out. In a nutshell, they're so caught up in being masculine energy, they've lost touch with their feminine energy. They've lost touch with being vulnerable, to be able to let somebody help them or take care of them. They don't want that. It scares them, right? So, but that's what men do. Men step up to vulnerability. Men step up to femininity. Men love that light that a feminine woman brings. But when women are stuck in a masculine, they don't even know. They're looking for a husband. No one connects. All my clients, strong independent women that are 35 to 45 up, who have money, career, they look fantastic, they're pretty, no one dates them. No one wants to ask them out. Mm. No one is going after them. And they're in pain. And they ask me, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? Something must be wrong with me. And what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you. You're just stuck in your masculine. You've lost touch with the part that attracts men, that men are looking for. So that's painful. That's my job. I just want to alleviate this stuff. When you understand this, you can undo it.
So are your clients primarily women, successful women, or are you working with guys too?
I work with both. But the biggest part of it is successful women who,
so when they come to you, what are some of the issues that they're dealing with by the time they come to see Andre?
It's not able to find a relationship, not able to attract men, right? Taking that personally, obviously, must be something wrong with me. They're in pain, because ultimately most women, it's interesting, most women, 90% of women still today want to be married and have families. Mm-hmm. They just wait too long to do it. So my clients are the women that waited too long and now are struggling and they can't make it happen. The good men like to be married earlier in life. Mm-hmm. By the time you get to be 45 years old, men have been married once already. If they're divorced, you have a different guy to deal with. It's a different type man. He doesn't want to step up necessarily so much. But he doesn't want to step up. He's done that already. Yeah, he's been burned. Right. He's got the kids already. They don't want to do it again at 45. But you're just ready to go now. But the guys who would want to do this have done it already. Mm-hmm. You see, so the pool is shrinking. So women are like in this place where they want something that should happen really ultimately easier 15 years prior. So strong, independent, and powerful is fine, but not 100 miles an hour first. These are my clients.
So obviously, some of what we're touching upon is the societal and cultural changes that are happening.
Absolutely.
It was different in the 1940s, in the 50s, 60s, all the way up, and now we're,
Now we're here.
Yeah. And so how have those changes affected the entire relationship dynamic positively and or negatively? Do you feel some of these changes have brought on negative responses, negative treatment of relationships between the man and the woman?
I could absolutely say things are worse than they've ever been.
Worse.
Worse. Again, it's interesting because most people think, it's the best time in history to be alive because we finally empower women and sort of
equalization
of right.
Right.
So, and what happened is we went too far. Like what happened in the we had to come out of the 50s. Like equal rights, equal pay, and all this stuff is it had to get done. It's fantastic too. So as we empower and free women, the feminist movement was always about opportunities, like to have equal opportunity in the world. If you want to be a mom, be a mom. If you want to be a CEO, be a CEO, right? We're open the doors to letting people be able to have choices. It was all about choices. But now the feminist movement have gone so far that there is no choice anymore. Like my kids are in school, some of the parents who are stay-home moms can't say that out loud because women attack them. You're just a housewife. You're just a mom. Right. You don't work. What's wrong with you, right? They can't say that out loud because now it's not about choice. It's about you're supposed to be a badass or, woman. Otherwise, you're less than the rest of us. So women are shamed out of their choice as opposed to really having the choice. That's when it went too far. You see what I'm saying? So out of the 50s, absolutely. But now the pendulum has gone so far the other way that, now it's in a place where it's making a relationship with men pretty much impossible.
What's causing this paradigm shift? What do you think is the driving force for all of this shifting? Like you say, a number of the changes that have happened over the decades have been good and positive and important and needed to be done, but now we're sort of going way beyond. So as part of that going way beyond, does that mean that men are becoming sort of emasculated? And women are becoming too strong? Or
pretty much.
How do you define it?
We flip the roles completely. We used to raise men to be strong and powerful, right? Back in the days, because a powerful man can handle his life, can handle his stuff.
And you don't mean caveman, you just mean
in society,
fulfill the male role.
Right. We used to ask little boys, so what are you going to be when you grow up? Right?
Right.
Because that's, what are you going to do in the world when you grow up? What are you going to change in the world? What are you contributing to the world when you grow up? Like, that's power, right? That's sort of how men got their mojo. Now we ask women that from kindergarten. So what are you going to grow up? There's the idea of being a mother, a wife, that's no, right? So that's what I mean, the over-calibration of choice isn't there anymore. And then, as the push towards empowering women pushed, then it was, in empowering women, the concept of then minimizing men seemed to make women more powerful, so then we'll go after masculinity. So right now in the culture, terrible things. This is new, like the past 7 to 8 years, where pushing against men. It's not even empowering women. It's like pushing men down.
Like all men are bad.
Men are all bad. You can't trust them. They're pigs. They're sexist. Motives. Right. The patriarchy is trying to destroy us. It's been like this for centuries, right? And men have to be stopped. And men are toxic. Masculinity is toxic.
Cavemen.
Masculinity is toxic.
Right.
Now, think about this 1 second. Make half the planet toxic. How are we going to get together? What can happen?
Right.
Nothing can happen.
Extremes.
Right? Now we have this extremist kind of mentality of everything masculine is bad. How is that going to work? It's not working. That's what I'm saying.
What are some other things that are happening as a result of it all that you see sort of on the ground floor there?
What happened again is it's like we're all energy, right? Like we all bounce energy back and forth. So the world is made of really masculine and feminine energy. We both have both, right? As a male, I have masculine and feminine. So are you, and women have the same. However, it's calibrated more. Men are usually more masculine, and the feminine side is 25%, kind of running in the background, right? The balanced woman is the same way, the other way. More feminine, more connecting, more available, more patient, right? More vulnerable. And then the 25% that's manly in her, so she can handle her life and be able to get stuff done, right? So there's a balance that's appropriate for each, men and women, men and women. So what happened now that we've flipped the script on that, when women are so masculine, they then energetically attract feminine men. And so what's happening in the culture now that's terrible is, again, you shame men out being masculine and bring them down, you keep them weak, right? And they're taught that they get stuck in mommy mode with their mothers, so they don't learn to step up and conquer and fight for their lives. They expect women to take care of them. When they stay little boys, they stay little boys. So then women, instead of become something they want to provide and protect for, they expect women to take care of them. So these women who are working their fingers to the bones and building careers and making money, right, so masculine, well then automatically, this is a mechanical mechanism. It's a mechanism, right? Attract feminine men. So my clients, if they manage to find a man, he's a guy who doesn't work, or he has a really hard time working, and he can't hang on to a job, he gets fired, he gets hurt, he breaks his ankle, he's sick all the time. Like, it's literally allergic to work, and he'll find any way, he looks like he's trying, he looks like he wants to, he says he does, and he doesn't. And she's always left holding the bag, she's always left working. Like, some women's brain right now, as I'm telling you, this is exploding. Women living this, and they think that's men. No, that's feminine men that we cultivated that way in our culture by shaming them out of being masculine and going after their lives and being providers. So the terrible tragedy here is women burn out, being masculine all the time. They don't get the love and the support that they want from a man. He's really passive and feminine, right? They flip the role. These relationships last just a few years and explode or implode. And eventually she wants somebody to help her. He's never wanted to do this. She's supposed to take care of him. You see it? Now this is getting more and more and more. Like, this was so in the society right now, we're seeing is more of this happening. Men who don't step up and expect women to take care of them. Women that are expected to be masculine, successful, and powerful who take care of men. In that, love is impossible.
Love is impossible.
These women cannot fall in love with these men, and these men cannot fall in love with these women.
And that's because?
Because they're inside out.
Is that getting worse? Is that growing
Absolutely.
In that direction?
Absolutely.
It is.
This is why I'm so busy. Because
This is
then
why you're busy.
people wake up, like when you don't think about this and you let society tell you what's right, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be all this. Marriage is obsolete. You don't want to be a slave to no man. You can't trust him anyway, so forget it and just take care of yourself. There's a price to pay for that at the end. Like, relationships are impossible. Do you know what I mean? And same with men. Like, if they have no place anywhere that's healthy, good, and they can't be seen for the good that they do, they step back and step off.
And
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Bachelors and not wanting to get married.
My clients come to me after realizing something's really wrong. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do, right? And it's not working.
So
Not
the men that come to you, what are they searching for? What's happening with them,
They've
too?
been shamed out of being masculine, right? You're not supposed to be aggressive. You're not supposed to be powerful. You're not supposed to be controlling. It's funny because masculinity is, the definition of masculinity is, I do what I do when I feel like doing it, the way I want to do it. I don't need to ask permission from anybody, and I don't care how you feel about it. That's masculinity. So in that, there's a lot of pushing, you know what I mean? Which women find very uncomfortable. Now, the other part of my business is I teach communication tools. There's a way to make men calibrate this thing fantastically that a woman can be in the presence of a masculine alpha male and get everything she wants in the tools that she used for him to not be that pig or that big of a person. Because men, because of testosterone, because of our bodies, because of our chemistry, we are often too big, too loud, too controlling, too, arrogant, too
always right,
over the
never
top, right?
wrong.
Over the top, but constantly, right? We're just run people over.
My way or no
and
way.
we don't know. We honestly, it's just masculine.
We don't
right?
realize.
It's testosterone. So as a woman, this is the part that blows women away, and that they feel controlled by man, right? Now, it's funny enough, if you look back, if you look at men's behavior when they control, it's usually a paradigm of protection, right? When I tell my wife, it's 11 o'clock, you're not going to the store for the milk, we'll go without milk tomorrow, because I know where you're going, I'm about to step in the shower, I can't go with you, I'm not going to go for you, you're not going to the store.
Mm-hmm.
Am I controlling? Well, yeah, but what am I doing? I'm protecting her.
Right.
I know she's going, I don't want her to go there, it's 11 o'clock at night, it's not cool. You know what I mean? So if you look at men's control, men start controlling the things they care about. I say this to women all the time. When you start dating a guy, and when you see him starting to control you, or trying to be like, so where you going, and when are you coming back, and drive safe, and they're trying to, the guy's falling in love with you. That's how you know he's trying. He seems to start. He gets his arms around your life and starts controlling things. Right. He's really protecting you. It's protection he's doing. But when we're too big, it looks like control. When we're not comfortable with this. So there's tools, there's a way to communicate with men.
So men need to navigate too?
Yes.
Men and women need to.
The dance of relationship.
So do guys have to adjust too then?
Absolutely. Men, of course. I'm not asking anybody to not. It's a fair game. I call it gender intelligence, right? Gender intelligence, Dr. John Gray made that phrase famous, but that's really the magic. If you're a woman and want to be in relationships with men, I say you have to cross the bridge into man world. Mm-hmm. Because man world is different than woman world. Yeah. Men are motivated by different things in every way possible. What we like, what we find interesting, what's exciting to us, right? What type of movies, right? Yeah. Chick flicks, and we're different in every possible way. From our chemistry, testosterone in our brain has us create, we're hunters at heart, right? We like to solve problems and fight for stuff and conquer. That makes us feel manly. Mm-hmm. That's a man.
Right.
So, but if you want a sweet, sensitive lover, that's your girlfriend. So when you make men that, you lose the man, right? So that's not really working, right? So the women who go for soft, sensitive guys typically end up doing all the work, and ultimately, it doesn't work. Absolutely. So a man is a man. Right. And so when you understand men, instead of they're misbehaving, they're disconnected, they're shallow, they don't care, right? All that stuff, you understand that he's single focused all the time, and he goes from focus to focus to focus to focus. And whatever he's focused on kind of deletes everything else in his presence, which is the disconnect part that women think is happening, which is happening. But it's not a bad thing. It's not against women. It's his operating system for him to get things done. When you understand the operating system on the men are or have, it's pretty fantastic. Women get in awe. Sometimes
you have also scenarios, and I think we've probably all been through it in our lives, where, or we've had family members, we've listened to them go through it, where the woman maybe will come home from a really exhausting, rough day at work, and she had to deal with some people, maybe managers, coworkers, whatever. It just wasn't a pleasant situation.
Yep.
And maybe it's been an ongoing scenario. So it comes home, maybe at the dinner table or in the living room relaxing, is telling you about the problems and the issues and the struggles. And you're, as I guess the guy, the male, is to be thinking immediately ways to sort of help her fix or correct the problem. Tomorrow, when you go in there, you tell him this, or you make sure you say that. And then she may say, I just want you to listen. I don't want you to correct it or fix it.
Yes.
And that sometimes is hard for the guy to digest, because the guy's immediate, built-in, intuitive response is to say, you have a problem, you're struggling, they're coming at you left and right. We can't have that. Let's see how we can fix this. And that can go south too, that conversation.
South, because, she...
Not that I've ever experienced it.
Very nice. Absolutely. It's one of the most...
It's a common fixing.
Because
I want you to fix it.
She was like, can you just listen to me? Don't fix anything. Now, you have to, knowing that about men, again, if you travel in the men's world, you'll understand that their neurotic need to fix everything. So the moment you have a problem, right, he instantly goes, let's fix it, right? And she's like, no, I just want to get it off of me. I don't want you to fix it. But she doesn't even get to finish saying that. He's already fixing it. Now she's mad because she's just wanting to get it off of her. She could feel better. But he's keeping it from doing that because he's interrupting her, and and she's like, of course I thought of that. That's not about that, right? And now they're fighting. You know what I mean? So that's why you want to learn about man world, because you could set him up. As a woman, you can say, okay, babe, I had a rough day. I just need to get this off my chest. Please don't try to fix it. I need about 10 minutes. Is that cool? Set him up, right? A guy who loves you will go with that.
Will listen. Right?
What do you mean? I don't want you to fix anything. Could you just let me just vent this out so I can actually get back here and get this off of me? Just sit there. Just sit there. Just nod your head. All right. And then go, right? But the guys don't know this, so you have to set him up. And again, a guy who loves you, ask him respectfully, he'll do it, right? And then the vice versa, like the flip side is like men who want to be in a relationship with women, because, women say men don't care, and men usually say women are crazy. If you get it, you generalize the whole thing.
Right.
Why? Do you know what I mean? Why? So cross over woman world. What motivates them? Why are they so sensitive? Why are they taking everything personally? Because they take everything personally. There's a good reason for that. Okay, woman, survival. They have to, otherwise they get blindsided. They take everything personally. They have to be where they're at fault or at cause to everything to be safe. It's all about safety for them. So if you're disconnected from her, she feels unsafe. If you don't talk to her on a regular basis, she's unsafe. If you ignore her, she's unsafe. Like everything that triggers this panic attack of he's not paying attention to me. He doesn't. Does he like me now? Does he? Right. So like that makes a woman crazy. That would make me crazy too if I had that kind of brain. But that's how they're wired.
How much of this is learned, like you say, how they're wired, and how much of it is also learned from maybe seeing scenarios within their own family, how their parents act with each other and other family members, and what it's just a learned pattern of behavior.
There's 3 layers. There's like anthropology, like men and women, like hunter default system, gatherer default system, hunting, chasing, fighting, pushing default system, connecting, relationship, community, communication, bonding, 2 different machines. Do you understand? So we have that at base in our bodies. And then you put on top of this temperament, her temperament. We all have different temperament, men too. That tweaks that thing a little bit. Then lifestyle tweaks everything. Crazy parenting, good parenting, tweak it more, right? Horrible things happening in childhood, tweak it again. So you see, we're all like malleable, and so there's all kinds of layers of things that affect us. But the basic one, the one that explains 80% of all our crap, is caveman, cavewoman, the instinctual system. What he's motivated to do, when you understand a man's operating system is completely different than yours, on purpose. That's how we actually come together, right? It's like ballroom dancers. He controls, he leads, he makes a plan, he's in charge. She has to hold her own space and her own body and her own frame for him to be able to take on the ride, right? But then as she does that, she then also lets go and is vulnerable to his lead. And all of a sudden, like, this is beautiful dance that happens. It's not equality. It's 2 different pieces that come together to create a whole new one unit that is called the partnership, the dance, right? The funny thing is he's doing all the planning work, and she gets all the glory. So interesting things. So again, in our culture was, again, if you talk about, which I do every week, how the culture gets it wrong is we think man being man is controlling women. There's an instinct in that, but it could be calibrated and actually negotiated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So women think if he leads, that makes me the follower. I say supporter, enhancer, right? Pilot, co-pilot. Right? Driver,
and you can do,
driver, navigator. It's not the woman in the back seat. It's the woman next to me.
And sometimes
not behind me. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Not behind me.
Right.
You're not less than me. Next to me.
Next
together.
to me, right?
Together. We
together.
We need both the parts.
So let's talk about Project Equinox some more.
Yes.
We're sort of lining up right now the scenario of what's going on in our society, past, present, future.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Project Equinox and how people work with you and you work with them. Do you do classes? Do you do speaking engagements? Is somebody's dealing with some of these issues that we're talking about now, and they approach Andre.
Yeah. There's
what do you do
ways.
next?
So private coaching, you know what I mean, with single, like some of my clients are single women who try to find love and don't understand what's happening. Private coaching, couples coaching, people that are already together and the rules have changed somehow. Again, typically it's something going on with the culture every time. It's fascinating. But people that are challenged, they're watching themselves like drift apart, have children, have lives, they don't want to save them. That's when I come in as well. I do men's work, to recalibrate men back in society in a way that they're healthy and they actually could step up in life for women, in society, because right now we're knocking them completely out of. This happened for me, like I have a daughter, she's 16 years old. If this continues, who's going to take care of my daughter as a woman in the world? Like that's her, all of her friends are like girls, like the male friends, all the male friends are feminized. She's more masculine than all of them. Right now, I'm not having that. I'm refusing to let that be. So my mission is to really recalibrate the culture. So seminars and, TV show, and really it's not, the concept is not that complicated. Right. You have to see the value in old school values with a modern twist. That's what I want to teach.
They have to come open, right? They have to, when they
Absolutely.
work with you, they have to put everything down, even lay down the swords, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And say, okay, we're going to sort of start from a blank slate and go from there.
They come to me because they they follow the culture and nothing's working for them. It's not working. So they should have everything. They should be happy. They should be blah, blah, blah. Women are in the culture said, you have to do it all. You're supposed to be superwoman, and that's the new. So you're supposed to have a career, be a CEO, be a mother, and be a wife, and that'll make you happy. And
not complain about
none of these women.
Right?
None of these women I have a few of them that have everything, and they come in with Andre. I have a career. I make money. I have a husband and kids, and something is wrong. I feel hollow. I feel empty.
I have migraines.
I don't know who I am anymore.
Physically, don't feel well.
Right. I'm exhausted. And I'm missing out on my life, but I can't tell you how or why. I have everything. And I go,
it's still something.
Too much.
Yeah. It's over the top. Yeah.
Right. That's why men do career typically, or men do the money part, and women do the nurturing part, because that's altogether is too much work. You know what I mean? So women that seem to have it all come to me with something is wrong. Women that can't find a relationship come at me because something's wrong. Men come at me because they can't calibrate in life. Right? So the other ones come at me because now they've done everything the society said, be a career woman first and then try to person that's not working. So by the time they come to me, men and women, which is fun, they have like okay, I don't get it, help me.
Yeah.
It's not working, help me, right? Like if everything they bought that was in the culture that they thought was good and right, right or righteous, it's not working, and they come help me. So then I have to make sure they're actually open, because what I teach, it flies in the face of what culture teaches you.
Is what we're talking about unique to America, United States, or not necessarily?
Not anymore. It started here in England, and it kind of spread everywhere. Now it's in Asia. Like I have a friend now she's in Taipei, and she said it's terrible. The women are constantly like putting down the man, like just like minimizing them, and pushing them to like be less than. She goes, it's like being in San Francisco. Like, she goes, it's really bizarre, right? Yeah. Australia has the same problem. Now, interesting, in Europe, for some reason, it's not, there's that liberating of women, but somehow in Europe, a woman can be a lawyer and still embraces her feminine. But the French women can do this. Like, they could be business women, but they love to be women. So they do, you've seen, French women and Italians are the same, and they're always well put together, and there's a heel, and they embrace being women and feminine, embrace men adoring them. Somehow here, we have to, men are the enemy. So that phenomenon, as I see, is only really here, not so much in Europe, and apparently in Taipei, and I know in Australia, there's a big push, again, against masculinity, against men. And the problem is if you go against men, half the planet.
Right.
That's not going to work.
So I imagine you must have a multitude of success stories. Maybe you could share one with us where maybe it was working with an individual or maybe a couple, and when they first approached you, they were sort of going through this.
Yes.
And through your expertise and your work and your time and your patience and your perspective, you were able to help them to get to this level where they're more happier, more joyful, and there's a lot more peace.
Yes. Her story is she's an African-American woman you know, in the African American culture in Los Angeles, especially maybe as well, but I think probably around the United States, there's that sort of like, you go girl, you know man, and make sure you protect yourself and take care of yourself, because men don't stick around, right? So talk about men and dangerous. So African American women are raised to be masculine and take care of themselves first, again, from the get-go, even more calibrated than I think the rest of the culture. So that's her story. And she had given up on all of it and was not, and I said to her, you're not even 50 years old, you're a young woman. She's fantastic, by the way. She's bubbly and alive, and she's really, really smart and can be really fun. You know, she's one of those that can do the whole thing. She's a fantastic woman. She never heard that before. And I said, you, of all people, to think that you're going to go the rest of your life alone, ended up a cat woman, a cat lady, obscene. Have you seen you, right? Mm. So with that, we started working together and kind of brought around, sort of gave her a new sense of who she is as a person, which is fantastic. And then went from, after months of wanting to recalibrate herself and not feel so bad because of the loss of this guy, built up her self-confidence and built up and actually recalibrated, made her rethink how she wanted to live her life. And she said, it took almost a year. And she said, she admitted to herself at one point, after being with me for almost a year, said, I had to admit to myself, yes, I want a relationship. Oh, crap, right?
Right.
Because she'd been fighting against this her whole life.
The whole time.
Oh, crap. You know, she said, if I could admit to myself, I had to tell you. So if she tells me, I'm like, oh, you want a relationship? Okay, right? Strong, independent, powerful for years, right? Just playing with man. Now she wants to see the real, she wants the whole thing.
Yeah.
No. Yes. So we went to work, and I taught her some of the conversations we had. I taught her, like, you know, gender intelligence, and how do you, as a woman, how do you bring men towards you? How do you magnetize a man your way? So we went through all this thing, and within a year, like, as she worked her way into, I really want this, and I need to be vulnerable, because men attached to being vulnerable. You know, they want women to be patient and vulnerable and loving and joyful and a light. Moth to the flame, you know. Now with that, you get all the moths, you know, the good and the bad ones you have to sort through. And that's why a lot of women don't do it, because it's a lot. Anyway, found this guy, total alpha, right? Okay, how do I deal with this? We did the tools, respectfully learned to dance with him, right? And within a few months, and I knew this is when he was cooked, because he started protecting her. He was a girl she dated. He dated and started protecting her. He's being controlling. Ah, yes, he's falling in love with you. No, he's irritating, right? No, he's falling in love with you. Yeah. This is how you deal with that, right? Boop, boop, boop. And all of a sudden, oh, he's adjusting. Oh, he's adjusting. He's doing everything right. I go, well, yeah, we're doing everything right. You know how to approach him and getting your way, because he cares for you. He loves you. This is why he's doing that. Wow, this could work. This could work. This could work. And then he proposed.
Incredible.
And you don't know this, but
job well done.
Thank you. But you know, the last step is, you don't know this, I officiate weddings, so I actually married them.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I married them last November.
Really?
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is there ever a situation where you have seen things are not salvageable?
Yes.
Because one or both will just not make those adjustments.
Yes. No, it's very interesting that, you know, some relationships, most people nowadays have 2 to 3 long-term relationships over a lifetime. And sometimes, with the work that I do, they do it with the same person. Because who you are in your 20s is different in your 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. What happens, you grow, right? Like what's valuable to, what's important as a 20-year-old, when you're 40, you go, we're so stupid back then.
It's changed,
you know what I mean? Like, you change. We all change. So,
well, is it true, like sometimes you've heard, we've all heard, whether it's true or not, just throwing it out there because it's something you've heard people say, that some women, when they're in their 20s, they want the wild guy, but when they get older, they want to marry the good guy.
Right.
Is there truth to that?
Absolutely. Again, the bodies, right? The chemistry, right? That we change through life. You know, what's important to us changes. What we value changes. What, like, a value system, like every decade actually there's a shift. So if you meet somebody in your 20s, you marry them, by the time you get to your 40s, a lot of times there's been a separation or growing apart, right? But if they have kids and a life, you know, and a house and But ooh, right? Again, it's all the little things that we don't fix on the way that disconnect. When women thinks he doesn't care, and when he doesn't seem to be able to do anything right, she's always mad at him. That's like, right? These happen really slowly, right? So people come apart, and typically if there's an affair, it's really not the affair that breaks them. The affair is like the kind of like, we're out of here, right? And so, but the affair, I never say, and Dr. John Gray says the same thing, every therapist in the world says the same thing, an affair is no reason to break a marriage. It's a calling card. It's a cry for help. It's a, okay, now we're here, we're falling apart. So a lot of times people do this, break, and they're off. When I come in, if they're courageous enough, and we get to, okay, now we're in a terrible, terrible place. Are we willing to throw all this away? Or is there something in you that wants to make this work? If she wants to make this work, and he wants to make this work, we can make it work. Now we start again. Now, we learn all this, right? We fix whatever that all was possible and start a new relationship. Start dating again, differently. We knew, I call it, we knew rules of conduct. This new way of operating, right? Deal breakers have been handled, right? When you do this, it makes me crazy, and I can't deal with this. That has to stop, right? So we negotiate the deal and start again. And sometimes it goes up to the 60s, 3 times. You can have 2, 3 relationships with the same person because we change. Right. But if people love each other, they don't want to give up what they've had. They recalibrate and renegotiate the terms, and they have. Because if people don't do this, you'll notice, my family for sure, people have 3 relationships with 3 different people. 10, 12 years, 15 years, 10, 12 years. That's the new way of doing it in our culture.
You're really laying out some excellent groundwork here, Andre, but what do you think differentiates you from other people that might do similar work when it comes to relationship coaching?
Well, the first thing is who I was as a kid, my hypersensitivity to watching, learning, soaking up everything. You know what I mean? So I'm a sponge. I don't know who else is really spongy like me first. And then my training, the 5 masters that I work with, these are like world-renowned people, right? And it's interesting because each category, they all teach the dynamics of relationships, like I said, anthropology, chemistry, our bodies, energy dynamics. And Dr. Pat Allen in Los Angeles, I trained with her for 3 years. I'm not a therapist, but I was trained by the most famous men-woman therapist in Los Angeles, Dr. Pat Allen, world famous. 3 years training with a woman. All of these fit together. All these different ways to approach the dynamic of men and women fit together. So I have this cocktail with these 5 masters that I think is untouchable. I know is untouchable.
You had mentioned Dr. John Gray, who people might know from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, the whole project, the book series. I had the honor and pleasure of interviewing him on PBS a couple of times, and the approach is really fascinating. When you step back and you look at it. So you've taken elements from all of these world-renowned masters and worked them into your own approach.
Yeah, plus my own research, and my own experience with all this. It's interesting because I always say God helps the poor person sitting next to me on the plane because this will happen, right? I'll start a conversation. What do you do?
You do that too?
Oh God! And of course, the polite person will say, "What do you do?"
Right.
I look like this. I look like a musician. They go, so you're in a band? And I go, I'm a relationship coach. What? And then it starts, how, what? And next thing you know, obviously,
you're coaching.
I'm coaching.
Free session, and here's my card for the rest. Right.
But
it just happens, It
happens all
you're
the
a people
time.
person, too. And you have to be. You have to really have, and there's a little kudos to you, you have to have that genuine interest in the lives of others to want to help them to attain that peace and that joy and the inner satisfaction and fulfillment. If you didn't really care about it and it was just a career or a job, you wouldn't be effective at it. You wouldn't have all these people that have actually, succeeded through it. So it's something from within that came probably as early as when you were 5.
Absolutely.
That said, you really have this, you understand human behavior and the human condition, and that's what makes a difference.
Yes, it's really fun too. I mean, it's sometimes it feels like I have the owner's manual. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just basically just go through it with you. Like, this isn't working. Oh, let's see. Well, because, you know, and like there's that much in-depth, like, knowledge.
Right.
That
And still acquiring. Still,
absolutely, yeah.
life is still
Constantly,
being lived.
constantly,
And
constantly,
you have
constantly.
relationship and, you know, your wife and children and family and, you know, and people that you deal with every day, and you see different nuances and different
Absolutely.
perspectives.
Which is the fascinating part, by the way, because it's, you know, basically what I do with everybody that encountering me, like the person on the plane, is I always trying to disprove everything that I've learned that I teach, and they always prove it.
Right.
I was trying to wait for them to go, that's not true, doesn't work like this for me at all. You know, that's never, you know, and it's I'm always trying to disprove my work, and they always prove it. One after the other.
Right.
So it's they validate it, then they go, yeah, that's exactly what I feel. That's exactly what happened.
It's almost like putting a mirror up to them. In a way, they're sort of discovering it themselves,
Right.
but you are the conduit, the facilitator that gets them to realize
Right.
it and tap in.
And then I show them their part. It's not the man, it's not the woman, it's not them, it's not pointing the finger.
Right.
It's
At
always
anybody.
you. It's the
Right.
dance. It's,
Right.
you know, you brought that person in somehow,
Right.
energetically. And what do you got that is what's interesting to you? What's that come from? What happened
Right.
when you were, you know,
Right.
with that?
If you go back further.
So then there's a
right.
discovery that, you know, really you're responsible for what's coming into your life. And that's a
Exactly.
whole new way of looking at things.
Right.
Instead of blaming, you
Right.
get to
Right.
see your part.
And nobody's saying, you know, one gender is more valuable or
course not.
important than the other.
not, absolutely not.
Equally, they have roles and you know, things to offer that are actually a puzzle that really does fit.
That's
when
the
it-
whole point.
When it fits right. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the thing. We're made to fit together.
Do you ever work with the LGBTQ population as well? Do they come to you when they have various struggles about
Yes, it's the exact same
various
thing.
issues?
It's very interesting. Like the dynamic, the people who make love relationships work long term, right? 20, 30, 40, 50 years. People, now we research and study these people. I have as well, with my mentors, and we know exactly now what they do. The funny thing is, gay, straight, and lesbian, the ones that work for 20, 30, 50 years, all do the same thing. Huh, how can that be? Because it's the same thing. Because it's not a gender thing, it's an energy thing. It's masculine and feminine.
One's dominant.
In the
one's-
right dancing conditions. Do you know what I mean? One leads more, the other one supports and follows more, or supports and enhances life more. One is doing the outside world, the other one is doing the inside world. Two different pieces, but essential for the dance. Pilot, co-pilot, president, and vice president. Driver, navigator, next to me, with me. You know what I mean? I can't do my life without my wife. I cannot work 12-hour days and kill myself all day if my children aren't taken care of and picked up
Right.
from school. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I need her to do this for me to be able to do that, right? So it's not, am I more important? Not in my world. I can't be me without her.
Right.
I can't do my life without her. I can't be that badass without her. If I had to leave at 3 o'clock to go with my kids from school, I would suffer financially and career-wise. I'd work it out, but it'd be not as good. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we need each other that way. It's not better than, masculine energy better than, producing is better than. It's not.
Right.
It's pick a part, and the ones that all work it out, people that do relationships last forever, one is more the leader, the one is the more supporter, and they groove with this, they don't even know they're doing it, and they last forever.
And they last
That's beautiful. So it's not
Absolutely.
a gender thing, it's an energy thing.
You were also a part of this. This must have been really cool. Purpose, Passion, and Profit.
I
Tell
hope.
us about being involved. I mean, there's a lot of experts that you're in good
Yes.
company with here. Tell us about being involved in this book. How did this come to fruition?
Kyle Wilson, who produced the book, was one of my clients, and from a few years back, a fantastic man, lives in Dallas, and you know, it's just a marketer, is the one who put Jim Rohn, one of the first personal relationship developer in the world. Jim Rohn was the first one, like Tony Robbins is a product of Jim
Yeah.
Rohn.
Right.
Back in the 70s. So Jim Rohn started the entire personal development business. Zig Ziglar's, all the masters that came after him came from Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Kyle was Jim Rohn's marketing guy. So he's been at this for years and years and years, ended up with a company when Jim passed. shortly after that, when he came to Los Angeles, and I met him in a workshop, started coaching him, and his book he's a good old man from Texas. He's just a good old man. And this book is actually a compilation of stories of people like me who have lived their purpose by living through their passion and making a living at it. So it's all of personal stories of how we get to be successful. And there's some doozies in there, like people who, which is interesting in our society right now. Victimhood is very popular. Everybody's a victim.
Everybody's a victim
victimhood
of
is
everything,
powerless, right?
right?
These are stories of, like people that are big who took their challenges and fought for their lives and, succeeded. So to pursue their purpose, their passion, and to become successful. It's a fantastically inspiring book. And so he invited me to be one of his writers. And
Pretty cool, huh?
#1 bestseller on Amazon, like in one day. It's pretty fantastic. So it's very inspiring stories for people who want to, understand what other people have done to achieve their goals. So I'm really honored to be part of this.
To be a part of that book.
Yes, thank you.
What would you say to somebody watching right now who has been learning from our conversation in this interview and is in a place where they could really use the support, guidance, and advice from somebody like yourself? What's something of inspiration that you can leave with them, with us, to make that step, that important step forward in their lives?
The book is a good place to start as far as like what people have done with no opportunity, no connection, no, nothing, and actually build a world, build a life. It's when you conquer your life, and it's not supposed to be easy. It's actually hard. When you go after what you want, it takes courage. It takes energy. It takes pushing. It takes fighting. It sucks. It sucks. But the point is, it's through that you get the good life. So, to stay safe and to blend in, or to not go after why you were here to be, why you were born to be here. That's the ultimate, what do you call it, failure, I think. So you look at somebody like Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she should have been a statistic. Oprah is the most powerful woman in the world. Black woman, double minority. Didn't stop her.
She went through abuse and horrific things in her life.
Pregnancy at 15, and abused by cousins and many, many men. Lived with a grandmother. She should be a statistic. She should be, on the street. She's not. She's the most, And the power of all these people. Maya Angelou has an incredible story as well, if you read a story. And what they all have in common is they started reading, and when you read, your world expands, and you see possibilities and inspiring stories and what other people have done. Instead of hiding in your pain, you step into it.
Right.
My lesson was you take your pain and use that as power to go through your life and get to your life. That's the way I've done it. So it's about
really
fighting for it.
Paying it forward, yeah. You're
Yes.
really paying it forward in such a beautiful way. Andre, it's an amazing story. You've lived quite a phenomenal life and continue to, and you've impacted so many people in such a really beautiful, straightforward, direct, but important way that is long-lasting. And when you're bringing people together, there's nothing better, right?
I mean, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. You go from destruction to harmony. I have a coach. He calls me the angel of harmony. That's what I bring. That's how he relates to me.
Yeah.
And I like this. I can see that as sort of typically that's what I bring. I bring harmony back in destruction and anger and pain.
And you work with
good.
clients around the world, too, not just in the United
Absolutely.
States and Canada, but worldwide.
Thanks to the internet.
That's right.
Everywhere.
Yeah, Skype, internet, everything.
Yeah.
Andre, it was a blessing and a pleasure to have you with us on CUTV News. Thanks for sharing your story and all the incredible work you're doing, and we wish you continued success.
Appreciate you.
Hope you enjoyed it.
I did. It was awesome. Thank you
It's a
so much.
pleasure, and I hope to see you again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
A remarkable man, dedicated expert, one whose mission in life is to teach and empower people with love, respect, and joy front and center. Andre's understanding of human behavior is truly amazing. Now, to learn more about Andre Paradis and connect with him, visit his website, projectequinox.net. You can also find him on Facebook as well. In New York, I'm Jim Masters, CUTV News. Thanks for joining us.